There have, as Jonathan said, there have been numerous reports about the business case for green buildings or for sustainable buildings over the years. And a lot of them have come up with very contradictory findings. What the World Green Building Council decided to do was to undertake a meta-survey, if you like, of looking at all sorts of different peer review work. So work which is reliably rigorous in its analysis to determine what the business case benefits were, if there were any, as far as green buildings are concerned. And this has come, I think, at a really valuable time. The green building movement around the world has been maturing for some time, and we've reached a point now where we've got a lot of maturity, I think, in many green building markets. There are, I think, over 90 now green building councils around the world. So we're seeing a huge amount of interest in this. And one of the key things that people from green building councils are trying to work out and trying to demonstrate, if they believe it's the case, is what is the business case for green buildings. So the debate about the economics of green buildings has really progressed over the last while. As far as, if I keep pressing this button, I'm reliable, oh yeah. As far as the audience is concerned for this piece of work, I think it's fair to say that this piece of work isn't aimed at those people with a significant amount of sustainability or green building expertise. Actually, the target audience for this piece of work is key decision makers. Those people with their hands on the levers of power, those people who guard the cash till for businesses, who are able to make investment decisions relating to green buildings or not. And they are the people who need to be convinced about the benefits or otherwise of green buildings. So this report then, as the slide says, combines the best, we think, global evidence into one definitive resource. And I'll give you a link to the report in a moment. And we have two copies to give away, possibly to the two best questions that are asked later on, to be decided, I think, by our chairman. The target, as I say, are key decision makers, and this report looks specifically at the financial bottom line. So, what are the business benefits? Well, the report is divided into chapters, which starts off looking around the property life cycle, more about that in a moment, but looks at the design and construction cost case, and then importantly looks at this issue of asset value. And are green buildings driving value? Value to investors, value to occupiers, and value to other stakeholders. And again, we're thinking about financial value when we talk about what we talk about in this report. We then look at the operating costs, that important element of the life cycle, where occupiers of buildings who often have the most capability of affecting the, say, carbon performance or the otherwise green issues performance of buildings. And then there's a chapter that looks at workplace productivity and health, and also some elements of risk mitigation. In terms of the property life cycle, the focus is in the report on looking at the stakeholder benefits. So each of the stakeholders at every single element of the property life cycle are identified in the report, and the benefits as they might apply to each of those stakeholders are drawn out within the report. The report is a global one and utilises a number of international case studies. There's a lot of work in terms of research that's been done on green buildings and business case issues in Europe and in North America, other places as well, like Australasia. We thought it was important to try to demonstrate that these issues aren't just confined to what we might call very mature real estate markets, but actually apply all over the place. So we've got, for example, case studies from Santiago in Chile, we've got them from Cape Town, South Africa, we've got them from Jakarta as well. So all sorts of different markets, with all sorts of different societal issues, different legal structures, looking at what the business benefits are as far as this is concerned. We're always told, well, if you start early enough, then you should be able to drive the cost down, and there needn't be a great cost premium associated with green buildings. And often reports leave it at that. But this report tries to drill down a bit further and say, well, how do you start early? What do you need to do? Who needs to be involved? And in a world where we've got increasing regulatory pressures, we've got, I think, better now supply chains as far as green materials are concerned. We've got maturing technologies which are becoming more and more reliable. And we've got more skills in the marketplace which can deliver green buildings. We're seeing costs for green building procurement being driven down. But there was real consensus over the fact, actually, that green buildings are more valuable ones. Whether that means that there are premiums in some markets, or perhaps as we experience in the UK, there are discounts for non-green buildings, belies the fact that you must understand local markets when you're looking at these issues. And the report tries to pull those out, tease out different issues for different markets. The other thing that the report does as far as value is concerned is it tries to identify, again, according to different stakeholders, what are the meanings of value? Meanings of value vary regionally. They also vary as far as different stakeholders are concerned. And it's important to bring these issues into the discussion. If you invest in green buildings, you're de-risking your assets. And if there's anything that the financial markets need at the moment, that investors need at the moment, it's a lot less risk. Just the last couple of slides, and I'm just going to leave these up as we finish off. So what? Whenever I read a report, my first question is at the end of it usually is, well, so what? So we've tried to identify what the industry needs to do. And we're not apologetic about the fact that we have said there needs to be a continuing program of gathering evidence to make sure that business leaders and other decision makers can see what the business case issues are. So we need to be doing that. And just the last things that we need to say is that I think all people who are involved in the green building movement know is that we're only really going to get really effective change if we do this in partnership. If we change from old models of saying the landlord does this, the occupier does that, and they don't have a common interest. That's never going to work. It's not going to work for non-green buildings. It's certainly not going to work for green buildings. So we need to see a positive change as far as that's concerned. There's the link to that, and there's that for you. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.